Now, Michael Shanks.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. I'm grateful to a priest in my constituency who recently brought to my attention the film Man for All Seasons, which I confess I'd never seen. There's a quote in it which I think is very relevant. Some men think the earth is round, others think it flat. It's a matter capable of question, but if it is flat, will the king command make it round? And if it is round, will the king's command flatten it? The proposition we have today seeks us to accept the fact that government can simply define facts as facts, even if they are not so. The attempt to bend our entire legal system to fit the will of government is a high price to pay for some meagre political cover for a party that promised to deal with a genuine issue, and I think those across the House would agree with that it is a genuine issue, and has singularly failed to do so. Now we see, and we've seen it before us in the past 5.5 hours, the Prime Minister appeasing his right flank with promises of amendments later in order to bring some people on side, and others debating the fact that those very amendments would pull them away from supporting the bill. It's a complete mess playing out before us. And what a distance this Tory party has come. Their former leader, now brought back from the wilderness as Lord Cameron, said only a decade ago, "I believe that immigration has brought significant benefits to Britain. This is our island story, open, diverse and welcoming, and I'm immensely proud of it." And from that, we get to the repugnant rhetoric of the member from Don Valley, one of the most appalling speeches I've ever heard, and he's not in his place, but it was a shameful speech. The spectacle of an immigration minister resigning from his post, not in protest at the government's novel policy, but because it doesn't go far enough, and speech after speech on that side of members criticising the bill, but then saying they're going to support it. But perhaps more important than any of the legal challenges is the moral case for why this bill must be blocked. And I take issue with the idea that we shouldn't think of any of the morality of these issues. We talk of planes and boats and targets and backlogs and forget that these are human beings seeking shelter and a better life. Indeed, the Home Office's own statistics show that at least 6 out of 10 of those who made the dangerous Channel crossing will be recognised as refugees in the asylum process. And given that many are fleeing extreme situations to embark on one of the most extreme routes possible, how can this possibly stand as any kind of deterrent?
Will my honourable friend give way on that?
I will. Thank you.
I'm very grateful to my honourable friend for giving way. Would he agree with me that those who support refugees in our country deserve our respect and should be commended by the House for their excellent work supporting refugees and local communities up and down this land?
Well, I completely agree with my honourable friend, and of course immigrants across this country have contributed so much over decades to the country that we enjoy today, and we should give them immense thanks, not least in our public services. Mr Deputy Speaker, instead of thinking of other solutions to deal with the criminal gangs that are causing such misery and death as they smuggle people across the Channel, they've decided to hold firm to a course of action that's already cost us hundreds of millions of pounds and which we've heard throughout the debate tonight will cost us even more. Instead of challenging the criminal gangs at source and building better cooperation with our European neighbours to tackle it, with a government fixated on a plan that the Home Secretary himself doesn't even seem particularly convinced by. And for what? A law that's unlikely to even succeed at the aims that it's put forward. The assumption made in this bill is not that Rwanda is a safe country, but that all decision makers must treat it as such. In other words, they have to put aside any reality that they may know and accept for the purpose of decision making that Rwanda is a safe country. There will be no recourse to appeal on the basis that someone removed to Rwanda may be sent to another country, even if it could be demonstrated that that's a genuine possibility. No recourse to appeal on the basis that a person may not receive fair consideration of their asylum claim, because the government's decided that these things are all safe. These provisions mean that only in exceptional personal circumstances would an individual have a means of legally challenging the decision. This is a deeply unsettling proposition. A government removing one of the key components of constitutional democracy, the right of any citizen to test any law in an independent court. Never could this be more important than on an issue of human rights. And the question of parliamentary sovereignty itself has already been clarified. Lord Hope stated Parliamentary sovereignty is no longer, if it ever was, absolute. It's no longer right to say that freedom to legislate admits no qualification whatsoever. The bill leaves open the possibility of individual challenge to the ECHR, and we heard from a number of members today that actually that might indeed be the point at which we're back here a few months from now discussing this very issue again, with the government withdrawing us from the ECHR. Mr Deputy Speaker, until a few months ago I was in the classroom teaching pupils, amongst other things, how to identify truth from sources of information. We told young people there is such a thing as objective truth, and yet here I am in the so-called Mother of Parliaments, faced with a morally reprehensible and legally questionable farce. A charade that even, I suspect, most of the people who will eventually be persuaded to go through the iLobby tonight don't actually endorse. And at the heart of it is the idea that a government can simply state what is true, even if the evidence points the other way. It's for this House tonight to challenge the government's shoddy attempt at doing so, and to do the right thing by voting down this law.